Hi, Aquarius. In a few days, everything you think is you is going to start to change. And for the past year, I've kind of been prepping you, but you've kind of been hating it. It's okay. It's a part of your nature. If you don't understand a thing, it's even harder not to be stubborn. But some things you can't really explain. They just happen, and then you're like, oh, right. And being at the forefront of evolution, being at the forefront of the spiral up, like Scorpio is at the forefront of the spiral down, has its limitations. From what I can see, one of the only limitations you have as a sign, one of the very few, the Devil card, is that to be at the forefront of the spiral up, of the evolutionary spiral up, you are the ones that are stressed the most. That seems like the largest drawback. What do I mean? I'm talking about evolutionary stressors. Evolutionary stressors are things that come in and basically force a species to evolve. They make things so uncomfortable that the species has to develop new ways of doing things, hunting, gathering, eating, staying alive, surviving. When we have to, we learn and adapt very quickly and we survive, but when we have to. And because you are the ones that are at the, very front of our race, keeping pace with our evolution here, you're being squeezed the most because the evolution is in your hands. So if the evolution is in your hands and the revolution is in Taurus's hands, we're looking at a lot of stubborn energy that wants things to change and get better. And that's always what you want. You want things to be better and get better. The Devil card being the first card out just shows you what polarity you're dealing with. Because if you always want things to get better, what are you going to attract?
Is sin. Sin is doing what is wrong or not doing what is right according to God's rules.
What?
The problem with God's rules is not the rules.
Okay, that actually kind of bugged me out. That was just a video playing that I had open earlier that wasn't connecting to the internet, and then I guess it just decided to start playing that. Oh! And then we have some cards. All right. 9 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles. The Magician, the Strength card, together again, and this is a different deck than the one I used for the Sag reading. Queen of Cups and the Lover's card. So let's look at these evolutionary stressors. Oh, 1 second. I'll be right back. You can see the squeeze, right? Here's the squeeze. Here's the evolutionary stress. And where is it? In your personal life, in that which is most intimate and secret and most yours. And it does feel like everyone is pushing you. What is this stuff? I'm sorry. I don't know what's been happening. Children. It's a children thing. Sorry. It's rattling you because it's so negative. And if you're dealing with a Capricorn, they're giving you a lot of grief. And I know the Capricorns in general have really been hurtful to the air signs. So no surprise that they would come up here associated with the 9 of Swords. I think the Capricorn energy here represents not just if you're dealing with a Capricorn, but also the elemental energy of that card and how you must not be allowed anymore to wallow here. You have taken an evolutionary stress, and instead of letting it crack you and learning from it, you have stayed in the almost cracked but not quite for a long time. And here comes this, magician energy now. That's just not going to let you do it. It's not going to allow this vacillating anymore. This is very reminiscent of the other fixed signs readings, and I think that has everything to do with what's going on now. You guys don't react well to change, especially change just for the sake of change. That's what I mean. If you can understand something, it's easier. But it's hard to not be stubborn when you don't understand. And change just for the sake of change is not something that a fixed sign can understand. Another fixed sign here, the Leo card. So the Leo card and the Magician card have come up together a lot. And I think it has to do with what we're dealing with overall, what kind of energy we're dealing with right now. We've got a pretty glorious summer coming up and a pretty glorious spring happening right now. We've got a really electric, turn everything, crack the molds and make new stuff, magic energy going on as well. But it's a lot. It's a lot of fire, it's a lot of air, it's a lot of change, it's a lot of deception. All three of these cards are associated with deceit. This is generally the outcome of being deceived. And yet somehow, Aquarius, it's still been a question in your mind if these people were worthy of your time. And I just don't buy it. I don't think that you ever thought they were worthy of your time. I think you needed something and they provided it, and then when they stopped providing it, you convinced yourself that you could only have it from that person and from nobody else. And now, if we look at this as a road sign, then the major arcana is coming in and saying, I have to transmute this energy. This cannot continue the way it's going. And your stubborn nature will shine through and you will be resistant to it. All I can advise is that through your resistance, try and understand that there is a feeling aspect to these changes. These are emotional changes. And if you come at them with only your swords, they will make no sense. Of course, from an air point of view, does it seem like change just for the sake of change? Yeah, because we can't comprehend it. And if we can't comprehend something, is it real? But these changes have nothing to do with what you can comprehend. That's why you're so out of your element with it. These changes have everything to do with how you feel. And what makes you feel the way you feel, and why you feel the way you feel, and who makes you feel the way you feel, and why they make you feel that way, and why we hang on to certain people even though they make us feel a certain way, or because they make us feel a certain way. All of these nuances begin to be clarified now by Uranus moving into Taurus. This energy is also very representative of Sag energy. This energy is coming in and breaking things you don't want broken. Matter of fact, right now, I don't think you want anything broken because you're already dealing with Saturn in Capricorn. You've already got this heavy, heavy energy on you. Just weighing you down. And in the midst of this, you're trying to find a way to justify it. As if somehow, if you can make this right and appropriate somehow, it'll be easier to deal with. My thing is, why are you engaging in this process? You don't need to do this. You don't need to justify your pain. Your pain can't be justified. There's no reason you're going to be able to come up with that's going to make it okay that you're spending night after night feeling like this about a situation. Now, whether that's a family situation or a work situation, or a love situation, or, you know, perhaps this is what's going on internally. A lot of the time, air that is stubborn, right? Fixed air is stale air. You have to remember that. So more than any other sign in the zodiac, it is important for you to open those mental windows and cross-ventilate, because stale air is very difficult to work with, to grow something in. You need to move. And no, it's not easy, especially when you're this deep into it, especially when you've got a really consistently pressured energy just bearing down on you, especially when you're dealing with personalities, co-workers, parents, colleagues, peers who seem naturally deceitful. You know, sometimes I think from an Aquarian's point of view, Sagittarians just lie for no reason. Of course, a Sagittarian has very good reasons for lying, being that they would like to engage in things that they would rather not have to explain. And things that would, you know, if they had to explain them, would make them look like a hypocrite, and they'd rather not take that route. So in their mind, it's justified, but not in yours. In the same way, there are many instances where a Capricorn will find it perfectly suitable to lie. And yet when an Aquarian is confronted with their truth and how they behaved, you guys are just like, that's the thing you chose to lie about? Like, out of all the things that you could have done to destroy the trust between us, that's the thing you chose? So I find that you're almost so appalled with the way that people behave that you try to justify it as a means to keep them around and not have to be alone. And everybody does that, so it's fine. But now you've got this really powerful energy that, especially by Gemini season, is going to be roaring. But you've got Gemini season, you've got Leo season, and you've got Sagittarius season. And so what this is showing me is, especially for the rest of this year, it's just one after the other, change, change, change. And it all has to do with this water Queen of Cups. It's change that has to do with your heart, with what makes you tick underneath the ice, with what makes you tick underneath the electric impulse. What's at the heart of an Aquarius, right? A lot of people, I find, will look to an Aquarius to find the pit or the center of an Aquarius, right? Like when you find the pit of the stone in a fruit. They look for the core or the center. And I think what they're confronted with is something that's more like an onion, where it's layer upon layer upon layer that doesn't have a center. So it's just layered, infinitesimally. And the Queen of Cups is really going to get into it with you because it wants to see you happy. And it wants to see you happy in a situation that actually deserves you, not a situation that you have decided is the picture of happiness and what you would like to show people, because it's just not going to stand up. When Uranus shakes these wands, one of them is going to fall. And I think you already know that. The picture perfect, whatever you have going on in your life right now, Aquarius, I've been trying to tell you for a year in nice ways and not nice ways and stern ways and kind ways that you got to get used to the idea of losing things and changing. And every time I mention it, you guys are like, oh, it's a depressing reading. No, you've got Uranus coming into a part of your chart where you're going to have to get really comfortable with things that you don't want to lose changing. And yes, is that confusing? Of course it is. And do we like that sort of change and rebirth? No. And does it scare us and does it make us want to run away? Of course. And yet, what must we do? Go through the stages of mourning the thing that you're losing, the things that you will lose, because they will be replaced by something so much better. And I think I've been consistent in pointing that out, but it's never that part of the message that stays. It's the part about, well, this stuff and this stuff. But at this point, what are you so afraid to lose? I mean, I understand this thing about holding on, but I think the cards are being really clear that the things that you find so pleasant about your life are exactly the things that need to be dismantled. Because underneath the veneer of what you're showing here is something completely different. And it's echoed here again. What kind of life is this? Wouldn't you rather have a break from the thing and a complete redoing of the thing? Sure, it's going to take some isolating. Sure, you have a lot of confusion surrounding the Scorpio energy and around this Virgo energy, but it's so obvious that you need to move on from it. Keeping you confused like this is a game. And the only person that seems to be winning, the only people that seem to be winning are, everyone that's not you. You're the only person that seems to be losing here. And I think that that's exactly the type of situation that Uranus walks into and goes, this doesn't work, bye. And you can negotiate, no, but it actually, I don't really feel like this. Actually, I'm very, very happy with this situation. I love this person. I'm totally good with this. And Uranus is like, no, you're not. But even if you were, we're going to shake it and see what falls loose. So if you've been hiding this behind the veneer of, say, a partner you really wanted, or a marriage you would like to continue even though you're super unhappy, or a person you really wish was yours, I will put it this way for you. You can choose to spend the next 7 years in this Nine of Swords energy if you like, because you're upset that things keep changing. Or you can take a page out of Aries' book, for example, who's just been dealing with Uranus in a heavy, heavy way, and realize that they are evolutionary stressors. What's going to happen when Uranus shakes this loose? You're going to have to evolve. You're going to have to adapt and move forward, right? What's going to happen when things get so confusing and so disruptive that you just feel like you're losing it? You're losing your grip on things. That's when you're going to hit the point of rebirth. Okay, none of this makes any sense anymore. Well, I don't need it to make sense anymore. I'm going to rewrite this narrative for myself. You're smart enough to do that. And once you've done that, the person that emerges from that process is someone that's much more in touch with who they are and knows a lot more about themselves. I think a lot of what you consider to know about yourselves right now will change in the next 7 years, because of a lot of it is based on stubbornness and wanting to stick to things that are bad for you, quite frankly. There is a masochistic element to Aquarians, and I think you know that, where you have a tendency to stick to partners, for example, who are mean to you. And for some reason you see that as like, oh, maybe I deserve that because I can be harsh with my words. I don't know what it is, but there's this element of just don't leave me. I often say that Aquarians are the ones to me that seem like the abandoned child of the zodiac, like the one who's always like hoping someone will stay. And I think what the next 7 years is going to teach you is that you don't need anyone to stay, that you are not abandoned, you have yourself. And what emerges from that understanding, we'll go more into that in the extended, is a amazing sense of renewal and a new direction. Now, if this is something that is specifically work-related, then that work situation that you keep justifying to yourself for money is going to crack up, either because you're going to be reassigned to a better environment or something that suits your talents more, or because someone you know socially will help you out. Now, as far as your emotional life, this water sign is coming up super strong. Queen of Cups, but the water element is just like overpowering for me in this. It's anchoring everything. And I think it's because it is an element that's very hard for you to understand. It's very hard for all air to understand, really to understand. So if you have a rising water sign or if you have a moon water, then you'll be even more engaged with this disruptive process. You will feel this deeply. You will often feel in the next 7 years like you are the cracking, like your chest is cracking from the amount of pressure that's being put on you. And that evolutionary stress is specifically to build certain qualities within you so you can evolve and take us with you, to build your energetic self, to build your social self, to build your emotional self, however slowly, to build your communicative self, to rebuild your life, to rebuild your inner self. All of this is such an amazing opportunity. And sure, it comes cloaked or gift wrapped in misery of sorts for a fixed sign, all this change. I get it. But if you see it for the benefit that it is, you will stay out of that Nine of Swords energy. And if you can stay out of that Nine of Swords energy, then you'll just keep rolling with these punches and rolling with these punches. And soon you will realize that you don't have to roll with the punches. You can levitate right over them. Now, in the extended, we're going to take a look at these, but let's also do bottom of the deck a little bit. King of Wands, Page of Cups. So the fire is really strong. Fire and water. It's just a lot of disruption. I'm trying to keep you as calm as I can with all this. It's a lot of disruption. I see how you're feeling. It's not that I'm ignoring how you're feeling. There's just no point in adding to anyone's hysteria or anyone's emotional angst, or if anyone is worked up emotionally in any way, it is just not beneficial to egg them on. There's just no point in it. It's not helpful. 5 of Cups, Ace of Cups, 2 of Wands, 10 of Wands, 3 of Swords, 7 of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. All right, we'll take a look at those in the extended. So just move them over a little bit. Now, we talked about how if this is a career situation, you've been hanging on too long, but what if this is what if this is specifically a love situation? And you're dealing with an element that is just really deceitful. And in some respects, you found out and you've heard here and there and you don't know what to do and you've been going back and forth and maybe this is going to work out and you really would like to stay in that situation even though you're pretty sure that person is lying to you. But are they really lying to you? Is there really this Gemini involved? What is this Virgo doing? Okay. I really mean this. Sincerely, I mean this. It doesn't matter what I say about it. It doesn't matter because Uranus is not going to let this continue. Wherever this sort of questioning is going on, that point is lit up in your subconscious. And that's exactly where that Uranus energy is going to go and go. Blow up all the bulbs. Blow up all the flashing lights. Start with the flashing lights. And these things are flashing lights for you. So this is where that energy is going to hone in first and go, that's not working. Crack that. That's not working. Bash that up. So, are there other people involved? Yes. And you already know that. I don't need to tell you that. Is this person being deceitful? Yes. But you also already know that. That's why you've been feeling like this. Should you have already left this person? Obviously. That's why you're vacillating. You already know these things. Is that water sign serious? Yeah, pretty serious. Is that fire sign relentless? Absolutely. Are they honest? That's another story. Okay? So we'll do, what we do in the extendeds now is we just go through and clarify them all one by one. And you can go to my site and you can watch them straight from there if you scroll down, or you can hit the extended readings tab and it'll take you to an entire page with all the May videos on them. And if you don't want to do that, you can use the Shopify link and wait and pay through PayPal and wait for me to send you the link. But the other way is instant. You can stream and download and all that. Now, the reason for waiting so long is because there's no point in doing a reading here. Nothing comes through. When you're being bared down on and just squeezed, and then someone comes in and says, oh yeah, you're being squeezed, well now you're about to get cracked. You're like, I've already been completely wrung out. Like, what are you even going to crack? There's nothing. Yeah, well, what's going to get cracked is the things that you love the most. And it's really, see, the whole kill the messenger thing, I really feel that with Aquarians because the message is heavy. And so it always gets translated as like, oh, well, Umber doesn't like Aquarians. Not true, not true. It's just that what you guys are going to have to be dealing with is heavy. And it's not as painful for a lot of other signs because they roll better with the punches. But you guys get punched once and you got, pride hurt about it for years. Like, not even the physical pain of it, just the pride, the ego was hurt. So it's like you process change very differently. And what I'm saying is processing change in the Nine of Swords energy is a choice. Regardless of how much pressure there is on you, regardless of how much you have been deceived, because it is true, you have been, regardless of how much this energy has vacillated and played with you, because they have, regardless of how much this energy has had it out for you and really wanted to destroy you, because they have, regardless of all of that, you choose whether or not you would like to process pain through this Nine of Swords energy. It's your choice. You have the choice to just as well move out of the situations that don't work, venture into something, at least in mind, that is much more expansive and suits you more, and then actually go out and do it. And guess what? You will find a new purpose. There will be endings and new beginnings, but you can't get stuck in the limbo of the ending where you don't let it end, but you're not in it either. Because everything is going to push you so you feel so much pain that you let it go. Can't keep hugging that cactus. I'm telling you. I've been telling you though. And the alternative is so bright. The alternative has so much potential and promise. And there is so much good and love and power and energy out there for you, but you cannot skip over the part where you let go of things because you don't like to let go of things. We can't, you know how smart kids can breeze over certain parts of the lecture because they don't need to sit through that part. This is the kind of lecture where if you get up and leave to go to the bathroom for 10 seconds, you're going to be lost on the final. You gotta go through it the way it takes you through it. And is it gonna seem crazy, like you're getting dragged through the dirt for no reason and it's all just chaos and mess? Yeah. Take a page out of the Gemini book. Roll with it. Why do you think Gemini seems so crazy? Because we're keenly aware of how much things are changing and how close we are to the mouth of chaos at any given moment. And we kind of revel in it because we can see it. We can see the chaos right under everything, and we're kind of just always laughing at it. Like, huh? These people think this thing is solid, huh? You can try it. It's easier than this. It's even easier than this. The Hermit energy, if you decide to go through the next 7 years in the Hermit energy, trust me, you're going to be lonely. Aquarians like to be liked. That's part of how you got into this mess. But the fire element is here because they want to pull you out of this misery of sorts. And the water element is here, and they do feel really bad about whatever has happened between the two of you. But we'll look at that more in the extended. Ugh. With the lies, there's been a lot of lying, huh? And I don't even think it's recent lying. I think it's like you knew it was happening, but now it's all just going to get shown to you, and you've been finding out and finding out. It's like, like everyone was lying? What? But that seems like such a recurrent theme, but I think it's one of the weapons or the tools of choice for Uranus, is that it shows you where you are being deceived because you take that so personally, so it helps to break you away from things that don't work. So it's one of the many healing tools, actually, this sort of revelation. You need it. You need to see where this is not real and where it is real. And I think what you're going to find is that the next 7 years are going to teach you that no matter how lovely these love situations seem, all of them are illusory. And what's real, what you're going to come out of in the next 7 years, is a real self-reliance emotionally, and it will lead to financial abundance. What you'll realize is that what's real, the love that's real, is the love for yourself. And the love that flows between you and all things, which is essentially love for yourself. Okay, Aquarius? I love you guys. I will see you in the extended, and I will see you in June.